I have fantastic news. As you might be able to determine from the title of the video, and no doubt the very exciting thumbnail, Jelly Bean's fixed. Haha. So, very quick backstory. When I would have Jelly Bean running at about 20, 30, 40 miles an hour, for about 3-5 seconds, somewhere around there, when I hit the accelerator, hold on. That sounds better than your music, mate. Hooray! Yeah, when I hit the throttle to accelerate, the bike would just die. The engine would seemingly choke itself. So, I had Jelly Bean put in for a full service at the dealership, where I've got her from and where I've had every service done since. Well, every milestone service anyway. Quick jobs and that sort of stuff I tend to go elsewhere because it's a bit cheaper. Anyway, so if I was to drop down to about 5th, there we go. So I'm toddling along 35 miles an hour, la-di-da. Now, before, if I was to accelerate, the bike would do this. And that's basically me rolling off the throttle and then snapping it into basically full. That's what the bike was doing. Now that would happen in corners, that would happen on roundabouts, that would happen on straights. Doesn't matter. If I sit around a certain miles per hour for X amount of time, the engine would struggle, it would choke itself out and then jump back into life. Now the guys at the dealership, they did a diagnostic and the master computer that knows everything couldn't find anything wrong electronically with the bike. So I'm thinking, alright, well, it's mechanical then. They couldn't find anything. They had their best man on the job apparently, and this isn't me just attempting to smear the dealership, but there is a level of, hey, can you fix my bike, and they failed to do so, which I will not tolerate. And I believe that has now passed. So my confidence in their ability to service my bike is now not fantastic. Anyway, especially since their guy, when he was test riding it after he'd done the service, and he's like, yeah, I can't find anything wrong with it. Really? Really? Also, I've got the 360 camera here, so if you do see some 360 footage, hooray. If you don't, it didn't work out. I'm sorry. Anyway, now I have some corners. And I can take them with confidence again. Yes! Yes! Can you tell I'm excited? Anyway, so Rhythmic got himself a rather nasty puncture when we were out test riding some bikes, because as you may know, I have mentioned that I would like a bigger motorcycle, and my problem is I would like a larger version of Jelly Bean, a cruiser that's fast, maneuverable, and can sound absolutely gorgeous, but doesn't have some weird seating position like what I found the Honda Rebel has. I find myself far too kind of tucked over and just really uncomfortable on that. So I've test rode a few bikes. They've all been very interesting. There are some that have stood out from others, but I found that Rhythmic had a bloody great big nail in his rear tyre, just completely out of the blue. I noticed it and was like, oh, that shouldn't be there. So I did a rather dodgy plug. I'll admit it's not my best work, and I throw my hand up and say it was crap. However, it was only temporary and it lasted temporarily. So Rhythmic had a look around and he found that there was a guy, one of the very few guys in the area, who would be willing to actually plug the tyre. And he's got a plug where you take the tyre off, it's got a cap on the top of it, so that goes inside, seals off the inside of the tyre, and then a nice wobbly bit of rubber goes through the actual puncture wound and blocks it off. Fantastic. Sorry, I'm going to enjoy these corners while they're here. Just a bit wary of the dampness on the road as well. And then this corner here, whoa, if it was summer I would have absolutely scraped pegs there. Never mind, you can do it on the next corner, can't you? Yes, I can. There we go. Yes! Anyway. Oh, that's fun. So Rhythmic took it to this fella, Darren his name is, and he is at Hearts, Beds and Bucks Motorcycles. A little place in a kind of weird industrial area which has a lovely surrounding right at the foothill of Dunstable Down. Dunstable Downs, plural, not singular. And yeah, it's fantastic. Going there, relatively easy for us, it's close, job done. Rhythmic gets his plug sorted, and then I was going to tell Darren about my issue with the bike. However, Simon GTR 1400 turned up, and he's not one to hang around when it comes to asking questions, especially friends, and he basically throws the question straight out there to Darren. My mate Red here has an issue with his bike. So I thought, right, here we go. Me being the slightly socially awkward type and not really used to talking to people firsthand, now I'm talking to this chap I don't know, and explaining the problem. So he's taken a look at the bike, and within 5 minutes he's turned the engine on, left it running for a little bit, gave her a few blips, and the idle is not going below 2000 RPM. About here is where Jellybean was idling. That's a lot. She's running very rich, and she's, you know, obviously running very high on idle. So he's thought, I reckon it's probably your O2 sensor. So what I'll do, I'll get this little part, it's about 12 or 15 quid, and that's going to basically bypass the O2 sensor, and it's going to allow the ECU to actually control the bike properly, because from the way he explained it, now if I've got it wrong, I've probably got it wrong, I'm misremembering things, I'll tell you what. Let me pull over here, I'll let you past. I'll let these guys pass as well. Yeah, the way that I remember it is the O2 sensor in the exhaust is feeding information to the engine, and the engine is acting, well, the engine is feeding information to the ECU, and the ECU is acting upon that to send information to the engine to say, hey, when it accelerates, you give it more petrol, more fuel, more air, blah, 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 blah. Whee! All that good stuff. It wasn't doing it properly. So what I'm faced with is that choking out of the engine, because it's not actually getting the air, the fuel which it needs in order to run properly. 5 minutes it took him. 5 bloody minutes. So I took Jellybean back to him a couple of days ago. Rhythmic now has another issue with his Sprinty McSprint face. That's Triumph for you. Ah, ha, ha, ha. Sorry. And yeah, I've had a new rear tyre put on Jellybean, and he's also fitted this little component, the little bypass thingy-bib, and turned the engine on, left it for a couple of minutes, and the idle dropped to below 1000 RPM. Now that's more where it should be. Now she doesn't kick like a bitch. Now she's fixed, and oh my gosh, I have been enjoying the ride so much. Whilst I was having Jellybean serviced, I had them fit a power commander. Now I've noticed very minimal difference in how she rides, but now this little bypass thingy-mabob's in, I now notice the throttle response is so much smoother. It can still be jerky, right? Don't get me wrong, it can still be jerky, it still play up a little bit, but wow, what a difference. What a bloody difference. So my money goes out to Darren, as well as my absolute respect. He's a Kawasaki / Honda specialist. I believe he's worked for Honda for a number of years, but he's got like 25-30 years, I think he said, in the business of fixing bikes. Now, he said this absolute banger of a line, which was, there's a difference between a motorcycle mechanic and a motorcycle fitter. And I'm now in the mindset that some of these dealerships have fitters but not mechanics. You take an issue to them, and unless they already know what that issue is, they can't think for themselves. Darren's never, oh, bump, missed that. Darren's never encountered this problem before. He thinks it's a little bit weird, but he's fixed it. He's taken a swing at it, and he's knocked it right out the park. What a lad. What an absolute lad. Oh, I just got straight into the puddle. No. So, Darren at Hearts, Beds, Bucks Motorcycles. If you're in the local area, Buckinghamshire, all that kind of stuff, Dunstable, give him a look. Like, just drop him, because he's a very happy chappy. He takes you through the thought process as well. He's very communicative, and you know, if you extend the hand out to him, you know, you bring him business, he's the most welcoming bloke. and I found him to be extremely easy just to get along with, have a chat with, because he's just a reasonable bloke. So yeah, I'll stop singing his praises, because I'm sure he doesn't need an ego boost. But he's very humble. He's a very humble bloke. So many thanks, special thanks to Darren. He has the custom of myself, Simon GTR 1400, Andy GSA, often pops in to see him as well, and also Rhythmic now. So I love the fact that we've been able to find a very reliable, very friendly mechanic, fixie guy thingy. And to finish it all off, I won't give you exact sums, but the cost of the part he put in, like I said, was 12 or 15 quid, but changing the rear tyre as well, he quoted me very happy, considering that changing a tyre usually costs X amount. He charged me a very decent price. I would argue I need to buy him something now, but yeah, Darren's got my money. I could not be happier, and he's now got my, for lack of a better word, loyalty. What a chap. So anyway, that's me, that's Jellybean. She's now running absolutely fantastically, and I am going to absolutely smash some bloody roads. Oh, I love it. And I've got my confidence back. I've got my confidence back riding my bike. Thank you, Darren. And to the guys at the dealership, I think you need to give your guys, your boys, a bit of a lesson in learning to think for themselves and trying new things. Because holy crap, it took Darren 5 minutes. 5 minutes. I guess that's what experience does for you. But wow. You take it to the guys you think know all about it, or they should know best, and turns out, in this case, they knew bugger all. But right, I'm going to enjoy these corners. The sun's getting low. Have yourselves a lovely weekend and all that. I hope your next day off work is going to be very close so you can get out and ride. It's surprisingly mild here. Thus, you know, I'm basically sweating. It's fantastic. It's end of October and I'm sweating on the bike. Brilliant. Enjoy. Have yourselves a good one. And by all means, please let me know in the comments below if you've had a similar experience, or if there is a chap or chapette near you that works wonders on motorcycles. Give them a shout out. Show them some love. You know, they need business, they need custom, because people who can think independently for themselves without having to struggle with the oversight of a manager thinking, oh, you should only fix this one problem, rather than look at the entire bike and see what else is wrong. Because that's how they seem to get your money, by you coming back and then them doing all the work again. Ugh. Ta for now. Ta for now. Oh yes.